Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gina Marie Agderian. I am the author of The Letters in the Old House and The Faceless Woman, both available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. I will have a link to purchase both books in the description below. So today is another episode of Book Talk. If you're new here, this is a series where I talk about a book that I recently read, what I liked, what I didn't like, and ultimately help you determine if you might like to read this book. So today I am talking about Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, and I have read several of this author's novels and I do generally enjoy his work. This book was no exception. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. So this is a thriller suspense novel. I think pretty much all of his novels fall somewhere within that category. It does take place in New Jersey where I live, but it takes place in Princeton, New Jersey, where I do not live. I'm in northern New Jersey. So this is a story about a man named Ethan Marsh. He's 40 years old and he goes to live in his childhood home after his parents moved to Florida, as many parents of a certain age do if they're from New York or New Jersey. So his parents retired down to Florida. He's living in his childhood home and he starts rethinking this case of his best friend Billy when they were 10 years old. Billy was kidnapped while he was having a sleepover with him in their tent, in his tent in the backyard. They were camping out, and Billy was allegedly taken from Ethan's backyard. And so he has struggled with this for decades. He's 40. It happened when he was 10. So for the past 30 years, he's gone through a lot of emotional issues, a lot of trauma, a lot of therapy sessions, medication, the whole bit. And he really has just a recurring dream of Billy being taken. But when he returns to his childhood home to live there, because he had recently had some life changes that they talk about in the book, no spoilers. And so he's living there for a bit and he starts noticing some odd things happening, and it makes him start to rethink Billy's disappearance slash kidnapping and really what actually happened. So he goes down a rabbit hole of trying to figure out what happened to Billy, and was he killed? Was he not killed? If he was killed, who did kill him? And so on and so forth. So a lot of things going on. And a lot of it has to do with his neighborhood. They live on a cul-de-sac, so everybody kind of knows everybody's business. So he starts talking to different neighbors about what was seen or what was done. And the case in this book, the case made national news in the mid-90s, and it was also this at the same time as the O.J. Simpson trial. That was a huge thing, which I am old enough to have a lot of memories of. It was nice reading about summer in the 90s as a kid. I am a bit younger than this character is supposed to be, but nonetheless, it was great to read about summer in the 90s and kind of what kids were doing in the 90s. The author, I'm not quite sure how old this author is, but he really caught the essence of what being a kid was like before having technology at your fingertips. So that was fun to read about. There were some pieces. The reason I'm not giving it a 5 is the ending felt just kind of very like, oh, that's what happened, and not giving a spoiler. That's how I personally felt. I don't think maybe necessarily everybody would feel that way. That's just kind of how I was felt. I did also feel that when they were, when he was trying to figure out what happened to Billy, all these weird things start happening. And he thinks Billy is trying to, like, he's dead and he's trying to communicate with him as a ghost. And it's like, it's the same thing in just in different ways. And that kind of got a little bit repetitive. So I started to get like zone out a little bit at some points because I'm like, okay, we did this already. Let's move on. So I thought there were certain parts that he harped on a bit more than was really necessary, but it was a great story. This author knows how to build tension. He knows how to build a story, and that's why I love reading his books so much. So I would not skip this one. So like I said, I thought the ending was maybe a little bit lackluster, but it was one of those instances of your mileage may vary. You may think it's a great ending, or you may be super shocked. This ending kind of didn't shock me as much as some of his other endings have in the past. So Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book or if you plan to read this book. And as always, guys, happy reading.